Okay, we have more breaking news. There are reports of gunfire at the Philippine Senate. A former police chief turned senator wanted by the International Criminal Court has been holed up in the Senate since Monday, fearing arrest. Let's go to our correspondent in Manila, Jamila Alingdogan, who is live for us there. Jamila, what's happening there?
Well, things escalated very quickly at around 4 p.m. local time. We've received information that there may be either an escape by Senator Bato de la Rosa, Ronald de la Rosa, or that they will try to push for an arrest. And since then, there had been a lot of movements. We are on the second floor. Let me just try to move you a bit here. This is usually where the plenary is. Most of the meetings of the senators are. We were usually in positioned just here. And 100 meters from here, we saw, passing through us, we saw armed men and some military officers head over there straight about 100 meters, turn left, and about 12 to 15 shots were fired. And then the lights went off. At this point, we don't know for sure where Senator Ronald de la Rosa is, whether he had been taken, whether there are casualties, where there are those who are injured and fatalities. At this point, let me just pull you in closer with our cameraman. You can see over there, that's not too far away, there are Marines over there. I'm gonna try to see if you're able to catch that, but that's where we were when they started to have a sort of a shootout. We don't know who fired first and whether they were going, why they were going there in that particular position.
Jamila,
just about less than an hour ago, actually, we saw Senator, yes.
Apologies. I was just asking you to give us some context here to what exactly happened in the lead up to this event. You mentioned 14, 15 shots, a shootout. We are getting some lines coming through on the news wires from the Philippine Senate officials saying everyone inside the Senate building is safe. We're all alive. Yeah, if you could just talk us through the hours ahead of the shootout. What was happening?
Well, since Monday, since Senator Ronald de la Rosa appeared here at the Senate after 6 months of being absent, he appeared to cast a critical vote to try to overtake the majority bloc and also to stop an impending impeachment trial. The authorities have tried to actually serve a warrant of arrest of the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. Since then, he has actually used his position as senator as, you know, to actually stay and get the Senate to protect him as a refuge, basically, for this premises and sanctuary, while he waits for the Supreme Court to make a decision to issue a temporary restraining order. So this is where the situation has actually been. And this is supposed to be, you know, a day where they're saying that as soon as the Supreme Court decision is Supreme Court decision is released, that not much will happen. But very, very quickly, from around 4 p.m. local time, things got very different. There were a lot of movements. There were Marines. We saw Senator Ronald de la Rosa come out of his office, go to the elevator, go to the 5th floor. We tried to chase him. That was very difficult. And so we kind of just stayed put, because at this area, that's really where most of the senators' offices are. The entire Senate premises is on lockdown. No one is going to be able to go out, and it's going to be very difficult to get in. For me, from where I was in position, I heard at least 12 to 15 shots. Heavy firearms, long firearms, men in uniform, but we don't know for sure whether people actually got hurt or people died. We don't know where Senator Ronald de la Rosa is. What we know is that this could probably take a few hours. As far as I know, in this position that where we are, journalists are not actually allowed to move much. We're just in the hallway. And we're hoping that we'll hear more about whether they've actually forced the arrest or he managed to escape. There's only two options at this point, according to officials here.
Jamila, we are actually getting live pictures, but it's very difficult to tell exactly what it is we are seeing. You are in the corner of, no, that's not you, that is other reporters in the corner of the screen. We were seeing security officials, men with guns. There it is again, at least 4 men with guns that we can see on the center of our screen. I wonder if you could tell us what you think is happening right now.
Well, what's happening right now is a total standoff. There was already an armed confrontation, that's for sure, that happened about 30 minutes ago. And it's almost an issue about more than just initially a constitutional crisis, but basically Senate security ensuring that Senator Ronald De La Rosa does not get arrested while agents, operatives also from the government trying to serve that warrant. So as you can see, there's this real conflict between government agencies. Of course, the national government believes that it is legitimate that he needs to go to The Hague, just like former President Rodrigo Duterte, that he needs to face allegations of crimes against humanity. However, there are many senators, especially the leadership at the moment that managed to overtake the majority, who actually believe that if he has to face cases, then it has to be in the local courts, because the Philippines is no longer a signatory to the Roman Statute. So that is literally quite a standoff. I mean, it's a common fixture here over the past few hours of men in high-powered weapons, both in uniform and in civilian. We'll try to get a little bit forward so you can see. As you can see over there, I'll try. This has been our live position, this has been our live position since this afternoon. So you could see just how close we were to the actual shootout location. Okay. We're not exactly sure at this point what is happening. We were told, efforts by the Senate President to assure everyone that everyone is safe. That's hard to validate at this point. But what we know is that the Senate is in lockdown. And even for us, a country that has been long held back by scandals, even for a Senate that is no stranger to scandals and even courageous stories, this is unprecedented, because this does not actually just makes this a scene of violence, but it also is pitting government agencies against each other, quite literally, where you have, the Senate security, also composed of former Marines and active Marines, now trying to prevent agents from actually executing and serving that warrant to Senator Ronald De La Rosa. You can see the remnants of the previous administration's policies and how it continues to impact, events today.
Okay, Jamila, thank you. We're going to leave it there for now. We will, of course, come back to you when you have more information. Jamila Alingdogan reporting there from the Philippine Senate, where you heard her say that there was a shootout. We don't know the exact details of the shootout. She mentioned 14 shots fired. According to the Philippine Senate President, everyone is safe. However, we cannot confirm that right now. As soon as we have any more information on what is happening there, we will, of course, bring it to you. Just the latest line we are getting from the Philippine Senate President. The Interior Minister is currently on his way to the Senate to help out with the situation. We will, of course, bring you more when we have it.